Our new menu. Kind of cheeky. Let's begin. That's the header of our the first section on the new Wigwam menu. Uh, let's begin. Kind of is just a fun way of combining appetizers, shareables, things like that. In there, some things are a little bit small. Some things are very big, and they all work very well together. Um, every menu, first thing I always put the Marcoute Jersey whipped cork. This is a local farmer's cheese. Cork is traditionally a German style farmer's cheese. And this is done with the Marcoute Jersey cow. So, a very special cow. This produces a very young, creamy, little acidic, and rich cheese. Mixing that with local full fat buttermilk, I infuse honey with Fresno and coriander. And then the way it's even plated and presented, I take a focaccia, cut it and score it almost all the way through, brush it with rosemary oil, and bake it just to warm it, not to make it crispy. So while you're having this basic a play on bread and butter, you're literally breaking bread together and scraping the plate. So it's fun, it's interactive, and traditional in that way. Moving our way down. Haven't really seen that much here, so I really wanted to put a selection of East and West Coast oysters. Currently, it's coming with 3 and 3, and we're just so especially for this time of year, I've started out with Kushi from the West Coast. Very small, very sweet and cucumbery, with a nice tender flesh, and then the East Coast, I'm still kind of trying to keep it down to like that 2.5 inch or smaller oyster. So we aren't getting that monster uh, that just isn't that fun to enjoy. To kind of to play with it a little bit and be a little bit different, we're using a French rosé vinegar that I use as the base for the mignonette, and I infuse the cocktail sauce with some Calabrian chilies and a few other things to kind of differentiate that. So the mignonette is very sweet, it's very floral, but then you have that robust and spicier cocktail sauce to really give you the full spectrum all the way left and right that you can with those oysters. Um, and for those people who don't want or eat like raw oysters or shellfish in that way, just beneath that on the menu, we have the mussels escabeche. So these are Maine blue mussels. They're about 4.5, 5 years old by the time they get to us. They're pretty big right now, but as the waters get colder, they're going to get very, very big and wonderful. So when I pop those in some white wine, um, I've kind of taken the flavor profile that you get from escabeche, which is Spanish style preserved seafood. Instead of just taking it out of a can and presenting it, I've kind of taken those flavors and found a way to recreate it in a fresh way. So using shallot, Fresno, um, a lot of aromatics, lots of citrus zest, and a little bit of like shirodashi, and a few things like just to round out that flavor. So if you aren't really big into the raw oyster, you can still have that cooked mussel served in the same way on the bed of ice. You lift it up, enjoy. So it's kind of cool to have both in that way. Marinated Spanish olives is a great way just to kind of hang out, enjoy. Great shareable. Most of the time, when that comes out as the in the appetizer, it sits off at the table pretty much the rest of the night, just kind of picking at it as you will. So that's great for down here. It works wonderfully for rendezvous as well, and it's just the best Spanish oyster, the best Spanish olives. It's a 5 blend, and a lot of love and care goes into the flavor of that oil and that marinade in its preparation. Very simply presented dish, a lot of work and time and flavor building went into something as simple as an olive. As you'll see in most of this menu, um, I'm very, very passionate about beef tartare. Um, it's everywhere, but Chicago is always very competitive with its beef tartare, and I really want to kind of go out of left field and do something different while still being traditional. So in this way, I toast brioche. and that's like the flavor base. The beef I'm using for the tartare is a 30-day prime dry aged ribeye, and then we're preparing uh, that beef very traditionally: oil, salt, shallot, cornichon, and mustard. But then we kind of get to have some fun with it. It's being garnished with champagne marinated or pickled mustard seeds, black garlic puree, creme fraiche, some microgreens, and instead of doing the raw egg thing, I want to do something different. So I cured egg yolks in salt and pepper for several days and then dehydrate them so we're able to microplane that egg, which is now fully like hard preserved and shelf stable over the top. So you still get that eggy flavor without the stigma that can come with some people when it comes to raw egg. To complete out our Let's Begin, the handmade burrata, very simple, fun, but again, a little bit different. So oil, Maldon salt, black pepper, but I use botarga and just coat the top of that in botarga and fresh chives. Botarga is cured millet roe, so like preserved caviar. It has a really sweet and oceanic flavor, which goes really nicely to compensate for that richness of the cheese. And that's being served with our focaccia crisps. So you have a really delicate cracker that doesn't detract from the creaminess of the burrata, just adds that little bit of crisp and crunch to it. It's the cracker is strong enough to hold up the burrata, but soft enough that it doesn't scrape your mouth. It's not abrasive in any type of a way. And the last dish on our Let's Begin section of the new menu is the lobster bisque. This is the only dish that has survived from the old days. We've refined the recipe a little bit. We've made a few small tweaks, just little things like using an egg wash on the puff pastry before it goes into the oven to get that beautiful, even and crispy top. So even though one dish did survive the purge, it's not a copy and a paste. We still found ways to refine and improve upon it.